All right, guys. So, in preparation for the winter and also uh, to try to get my resting voltage a little higher and take the stress off of my lithium bank, I'm going to separate the charging system on my Tahoe uh, to two different areas. Right now, it's combined. This one cable right here connecting this alternator and this alternator connects the charging system. So when I take this cable out, this alternator will specifically be just charging my lithium and my supercap. Um, this battery and those batteries will be out of the system except for running the vehicle. So there'll be two separate charging systems. What this will allow to happen is instead of the lithium bank trying to maintain the voltage on these guys and the whole system resting at a lower voltage right now at 12 and a half volts, um, these batteries will be on their own with this alternator, and this alternator will be powering just the lithium bank and the supercaps all by itself. And in the wintertime, I can cut power to this alternator if it's really, really cold and not charge that bank at all. Or at least not charge it on those days when I have to drive and it's really super cold. I can cut power to this, and then the truck will still get its power. The AGMs will still be able to start and drive the truck, but the stereo system, the amps, the lithium bank, all that will be turned off until I turn it back on. That's my plan. And when I designed this whole setup, I did so in such a way that I could isolate these two systems very easily. I usually have two wires connected, but right now I only have the one. So by simply removing this, just with this wire like it is now, the systems are separate. Because I knew in the future I was going to probably do something, or I might do something like this. So that's why I went this route. Made sure that I had everything covered. I'm going to lay that right there for a moment because that is hot. And I don't want it to go anywhere. I want to see if I can get that off of there without causing any explosions. And you'll notice that this wire right here goes to that battery. So that is how this alternator gets power out. It also has a wire right here you can't see that goes over there. So that allows it to be connected. I want to get a hold of that. I'll slip this bad boy out of here. This little jumper. And put that bolt back in. And now the systems are separate. I could also use a breaker between these two and then do that, but that little tighten so it don't lose itself. So now over here, this voltage now will reflect what's going on in this circuit, which is separate from the truck circuit. So I'm going to fire it up and see how the voltage looks. All right. Now, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me give you a freehand move here. So you can see we're sitting at 14.5, charging at 14.5 right now. And then inside here, I'm not going to drag you in there, but I'm going to go in here and look. Yeah, we're showing 14.3 up there. Now that voltmeter up there is hooked up to the vehicle's normal electrical system, but the alternator that's on there will actually charge at around 14 plus for a short time. Um, the factory wiring, the factory voltage regulator system will change that voltage. So that one, it's already dropped to 13.9 and 13.8. That's the factory system. It will do that. Without the big 14.5 volt alternator up here, it will do that. This represents what's charging the lithium though, and it's still setting at 14.5, and that is this alternator right here, the green one. So the lithium bank and the supercap are both going to sit higher now because it's not going to be sharing, trying to share power with these batteries. So the next part of this, the next phase of this is to let that lithium bank charge a bit and then see where it wants to rest once I shut the vehicle off. All right, we're still running. Inside here, the vehicle's charging system is setting at 13.7. The factory regulated system is setting at 13.7. And the audio system's alternator and system is setting at 14.4. So that's rock solid. I am going to have to run a gauge inside off of this so I can see the voltage from this system inside. But beyond that, things are golden. Things are cherry. And that alternator charges at 370 amps maxed out. The other one charges at 300 amps. They're both high output. Let's shut this off. Shut off the 14.5 volt charging and go back and look at the look at what we got going on here. So that lithium bank is going to rest a little bit higher than the AGM bank. Right now it's showing 13.2. We're going to see what it drops to after I give it some time to rest. Now I haven't given it much time to charge after taking the AGMs out of the circuit, but so it may not rest quite as high, but we're going to see where it falls to. All right, so it's been almost a half an hour, and the lithium bank is sitting at 13.1, and I got the key turned on, but the vehicle turned off. The AGM bank is sitting at 12.7. So those are two different banks. And the AGM sitting at 12.7 right now, and the lithium at 13.1. There's a difference. That difference will be made up if you have these connected together, right, to where the lithium and the AGM on the same circuit. Then the AGM's resting voltage is going to pull that lithium down to it. Now that's not going to cause any immediate harm, but over time it will cause a lot more wear and tear on the lithium because it's going to be sitting below its rested voltage whenever the vehicle's not running. And that's not ideal. All right. We got this little dude. This little voltmeter here will allow you to adjust it so it's accurate. And here you go. Do that thing right there and you can get it. But this little dude right here is what's going in here. I ain't figured out exactly where. I mean, thinking about this, mounting it like right here under the corner of my tablet, but something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Yeah, see, it'll fit. It'll fit right here, right? And I can space the back out so that it sits level
with the tablet, and that would give me a nice, easy to read voltage display right beside the tablet, which is where I'm always at. Can mount it right there. And the front part comes off, and you can mount this back part. You see the screw holes back here, and it goes back together and stays put. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but still tossing it around. But here's something useless right here. That stupid button, that parking button, because it's not even hooked up in here. And that screen is the same size as that button. Now, I still occasionally use this one. My wife drives the vehicle. Don't really use the other two, but this one needs to be there just in case. That's my traction control thing. But if I can figure out a way to annex that button and turn it into a display, that would be really cool. I'm going to look into that too. But something tells me we're about to be taking this whole panel apart. So when you press in on those tabs and pop that off, you get access to this. And that little dude right there, that little screw, that's how you would dial it in to the correct voltage. So this whole thing is pretty small. I'm not sure if this has a display or not. I have to wait and see. It looks like it might have some kind of segmented display, or maybe it's just a logo. But nice little kit anyway. So we're going to do some experiment, and I'm going to hook it up to power and see what comes on. I might even do a search to see if I can find some pictures of it fired up. But I think this is going to work out pretty good. I do like that little display though. It looks like it's something that could be removed if I wanted to remove it and get completely custom. But still got to figure out exactly where it's going to go. I got to get the power figured out, where I'm getting power from, to make sure I'm getting power from the right area, but not doing any unnecessary wire running. But for that purpose, I do have some wire, baby. So I got plenty of wire over there to do whatever I need to do. I just got to get in there and get my teacup refreshed, because that's old, and get started.
All right, so this is the constant power, and this is remote power. And then this guy here is the ground. So it has its own little circuit that turns it on when it receives the signal. And for now, I'm going to connect those together and just this, and we'll be able to see the display. This is on the car battery, so you can see the display. And the top display, this is the name brand and all that. And the bottom one is showing the Tahoe's resting voltage. All right, I got my pokey tool. It's just a little piece of PVC pipe that I use to run so many wires through firewalls. I already have a little hole in this boot because I've ran wires through here before. Now, we just stripped this speaker wire here in half and created a third wire. So these are distinctly different. We got constant, ground, and remote. So now I can just run these guys in there, and I have all three of my connections I need to make on the voltmeter. Now what I like to do is take my wire and stick it in the end of this little tube here, little pipe, and then I tape it to the pipe. Used to use big, huge zip ties, and ones that you use for air conditioning ductwork. Those work really well. But since I started using this little piece of PVC, it just keeps working. So I haven't went back to my old giant zip tie method. All right, so I got this thing out of here, and at one time I had added these, and don't need them anymore. So I could theoretically, uh, you know, somehow do this, right? Once I've got different ones in here now, but these are taking up space. But where I really like to see that is right there. It would fit right there. All right, this is the altar of sacrifice, and we're going to be working with something that's not designed to do any of this, which is Type Bond 3. But I did find, digging around, I've got an old install bay fuse cover, and look at there. That looks just about freaking perfect, doesn't it? So you can use your imagination and do that trick. It would need to be cleaned up some, though. I can always use this piece, but if I use this piece, I'm going to have to modify the buttons that are there to fit the larger bit. And I could always just use that button and then pull out this piece and get it inside here. And that's probably the easiest trick, but I've got a backup plan just in case. And for now, we need to destroy this. So carefully destroy this. And I got to do some figuring, figure out how these are held in, how they're captive. I think it has to do with these little shiny metal bits. Maybe that's a spring. So we'll get those bad boys out of there, because springs are things that can spring. And springy springs are, potential parts launching kinds of things. I'm gonna need a different pokey bit for those springy springs, though. Yeah, that's gonna be so cool. All right, so we need to remove that thing from the other thing. I need more tools, and we need a pokey thing. That works. All right, we have a pokey thing. We need to get the right business going on here. You go buy a really nice piece of equipment and then take it home, and right away you take it apart, because base head things, I don't explain it, I just do it. Okay, I do technically explain it. No, that just 2 screws and Bob's your uncle. All right, that made that simpler. I was hoping I wouldn't have to try to pry some adhesion apart. Yeah, just drop it right there. That's where we want it at. All right, so yeah, we need to do some more digging in there. Got to do some digging. I got to get that piece out, and try to retain the other piece so that these buttons will kind of stay in there. I'm going to wind up making them permanent members of the household, but I want them to, the more they want to stay there, the easier my fabrication will be later. My ghetto fabrication. You know what would be cool? A Dremel. You know what I don't have? A Dremel. Somebody want to buy me a Dremel? I would totally be down with that. But until then, I really need a Dremel. Just a cheap imitation Dremel. I don't even need a Dremel. I just need something that looks like a Dremel and kind of works like a Dremel. Rotary tool. Funny, they're called rotary tools. Tell me, what electric tool isn't a rotary tool? I mean, all these years we've been working on figuring out how to turn electrical energy into mechanical movement, and pretty much everything is based off of something that spins. So, including a jigsaw. Yes. There's just a bit in there that moves the blade up and down, but it's still a motor. It's got an electric motor in there. So it's a rotary tool. Yeah. The funny thing, even back before that, is before we were making spinny things do other jobs, we had to make something that worked pushing in and out do a spinny thing. So, I mean, the trains and the steam engines, the steam fills up the cylinder and pushes it forward, and then the momentum of it moving forward, spinning that wheel, sends it moving backwards and releases the steam, and it just goes. And then you have the two direction steam ones where you have steam pushing it forward and steam pushing it back. All the point of all that was to make a wheel spin. Now we have the spinny thing, and we try to make it do other stuff. Yes, I am random guy. Guys, watch my channel long enough, you know. You know. Don't pretend like you don't know. Don't pretend like you're surprised. I never know how much of this random banter I'm going to put in a video. Usually not all that much, but occasionally I give you guys the full beans. I don't even know how much of this is on video. My camera guy sucks. We might have to do some more chopping and poking and ripping, but we'll see how far we've gotten so far. And we need more pokey bits. The board fits in here. Okay, the board fits in here. This piece fits in there, but the board needs to go deeper because this part here is taking up space. All right, I have the drill and the round, so let's see what we can destroy. See how. I got two. I got the bigger one too. I got another one there. Usually I find these work good for certain weird stuff. All right. That's progress. So let's sit right there. Now we got to work on lowering it down a little bit. See, this is kind of the idea. Wrong button, but you get the idea. It'll fit right up in here. I just got to get it cut down far enough to where I can get my little screen on top of it. All right, that fits right there. All right. While that non-appropriate glue is setting up, holding that in position, I'm going to talk about something else I got planned. So this little guy here charges at 3 volts, 2.4 amps, or excuse me, 3 amps, 12 volts, 2.4 amps. Sorry, my bad. The bottom one charges it at 3 amps, can charge at 3 amps.
So what I got in my brain is I can put this back in here. I got it out right now and hook it up to the always on of that guy. And this will pull power off the lithium bank and will stay on all the time. So if I want to plug in my phone when my vehicle's not running and let it charge and things like that, I can. So this will be the always on ports. Working out how I'm doing this. You guys saw me make this, and yeah, I made it on the concrete because, well, old habits from many years ago. I learned how to use the concrete as a nice sanding block, and I got a nice smooth finish all the way around. Everything's hunky dory, and it's going to set on top of there. I'm still working out exactly how I'm doing this, but that's going to be my top plate, and I just got to let that glue set up and then add a little bit more for structure, and then I can start figuring out the other stuff. But I wanted to hip you guys to my plan with the always on plug.
All right, so I have my little piece, which I need to grind off that edge or shave it with my knife so it's nice and flat. I'm using the serrated part and just back shaving it so that we don't get any digs. That's just enough to do the job. But this is going to go on here. And there's lots of good ways to attach this. I'm going to use the worst possible way because I have that. So I'm going to use a little dab of Tight Bond 3 on the corners and try to get it to lay on here perfect. All right, now that we have that tight bonded and all is well with the chickens, I need to let this set up. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to mask off the blue, and then it's going to get bed liner covering the whole thing. And this, I have a little bit of glue holding that circuit board in place. I put some in, stuck it down, let it set up some. Then I added a little bit more in there to get in there and kind of grab hold of everything. I measured here and in the front. Both come up with 13.23, and also at the battery in the front or at the terminals in the front where the alternator is, that's 13.23 also. So the voltage is consistent from front to back. And let's get this done again. My little wire came off there. See if I can get it done again. We'll create our little quick connection here at the amplifier. And so it's showing 13.4. It was showing 13.3. It needs to go down just a little bit. 0.6. Go back the other way. That's a little bit too far. Back just a tad and we'll be good. Still 13. There we go. It's bouncing between 2 and 3. That's perfect. All right. So now we will get our piece attached to here. And then we'll be one step closer to making this all work. Now, as you can see, I ran me a nice little thin bead across this lip with it setting on an angle so it would stay in that trough and set up. because there was a crack. It wasn't completely closed up. So I wanted a little bit of a buildup there to the surface tension of the glue will actually bridge that gap as long as it's really small and everything is just right. So we got a nice little bead running across there. All right, guys, it is very much dark out here. Um, it's almost 10 o'clock at night. So I know it doesn't look like much right now, but bear with me, it will. I'm going to give you guys a little preview of how it's going to light up, though. Pretty cool, huh? It's going to be perfect. So everything's going to be powered. All of this stuff is going to be powered. These guys are going to come on with the key just like this guy will. They're both voltmeters. They're going to both be reading the same thing because they're mainly for show. This is the important one. These guys will be getting power all the time. So they're going to be on, you know, they're going to be hot all the time. That locust scared me. Y'all didn't see him. There he is. He really wants to land on me for some reason. Dude, calm down. Come here. Come here. Get on my finger. Go ahead. Get on my finger. Go on. There you go. Let me take you somewhere safe. Because, see, you're not safe over here. Over here is a bad place. And you keep going upside down. Don't go upside down. You're going to get confused. Fly into something. Here, let me take you over here. Put you over here by the table. I'll put you on the grill. Here, get on the grill. Get right there. There you go. Good job. So, yeah, it'll be cool. This is all going to be blacked out, except for the blue. And I'll clean this face off. It's got a little bit of residue on it, but I'll clean it up. Don't worry. It'll look good. It's all going to be blacked out. All this will be black. This will be black. This will be blue. And the rest will be black. It'll look good. Just have faith and quit complaining. I can hear you complaining already.